started out as a failed Watts linkage bushing. It's turned into a mini-series as we've gone ahead and replacing all the suspension bushings. And this, I feel confident that we're going to conclude this today in this little segment. It's all about Panhard rods and sway bars. Wheels are off the truck, it's on axle stands, may not be necessary, but it is better for access for both me and of course the cameras. The Panhard rod, we only have one on this vehicle. It does the same job as the Watts linkage does on the rear. It keeps the axle central to the body of the vehicle, stopping any side-to-side movement, but still allowing it to pivot as it rolls over its various terrain. The sway bar, we have one on the front and one on the back, and what that does, as the vehicle takes a turn, the weight shifts to the outside wheels and the sway bar resists that urge to roll, improving handling and stability. Alright, to get the Panhard rod off, I'll start over here. Need some 24s. A wrench in there. There we go. Breaker bar. Let's see what we can do. So it's a little easier access. Go. Another buggered looking bush. Shouldn't be too hard to remember which way it goes in because it's got that little bend in it to get it around the differential. Well, the workshop's a little messier than it normally is. We had a bit of a catastrophe outside that resulted in a measure of destruction, and the workshop didn't get away unscathed. Did better than I thought, but yeah, there's a few repairs to be made and a lot of work to do. I'm going to try a 36 as a receiver and a 24 as a pusher. Might have done it. It's a beautiful thing. Work. Alright, if we have a look inside the holes where our bushes need to go, they're filthy. It's all this nasty rubber in there, so we're going to need to clean that up before we proceed with the new ones. So I'm proposing to be quite gentle, maybe with some acetone, a little soak and maybe a rub. And then for some of the more stubborn stuff, we'll put a non-wire brush in a drill and give that a buzz. And then perhaps, if it's really stubborn, we might give it a little rubbing with some very fine grit sandpaper. Now what you see me doing here with a very fine small file, we're just going around the very edges looking for any burring that may have occurred. Should be able to feel it grab the file, and but otherwise we don't want to be too aggressive. And of course, once we're done with that, we'll give it another clean. Once again, we're going to go the polybush option. It says on the pack to revolutionise your ride. And we have 2 poly bushes and some tubes. We have a closer inspection, just like our chassis connecting Watts linkage bushes. The ends are a little different. One is kind of a flat ridge and the other has more of a sort of a sloped section to it, which would be much more conducive to pushing into the hole that we're going to do. All right. Soapy water. And we know about this, don't we? Swishing. Turn our attention to the sway bar. It's attached to the chassis via a clamping system where the 2 bushes are that you can see there. On each end of the sway bar is a drop link that attaches it to the axle. Now there's one at the front and there's one at the back, and although they're same, they are different. The one at the rear has a thinner diameter than the one at the front, meaning the bushes are going to be a different part number. And the drop links at the front are longer than the ones at the back, meaning they too will have a different part number. Something else to consider, that this vehicle here is a plebeian edition that could be translated as a standard model. Posher models had a thing called active cornering enhancement, little motorised thingamajigs that did a little this and a little that, and although it improved performance and handling, also added a bit of complexity, and the bushes that we're dealing with are going to be a different part number yet again. Now if we have a closer inspection of our drop link, you can see the rubber boots already started to crack. That's a bad sign. That's imminent failure. Now they're attached via threads that have on them 18mm nuts. That's what socket you'll need there. But because they're on a spinning swivelly thing, you're going to need something to be able to lock them down. And I think it may be prudent to give the threads a good spray with WD-40 and a good clean up with a wire brush before we proceed any further. Now the top one has a little hex on it for a 16mm wrench, and then we can begin our extraction process of that. Bottom one's a little more complex. We're going to need a 18mm wrench, and then what you can see on the end of the thread is a Torx, and I believe I'm getting away with a T40, which, well, I mean, I don't know, that's the one that's missing out of the box anyway. And so with nice clean threads we can hold that in position and see if we can break it. So the little clasp is accessible via a 13mm socket. Should come up. much better. Now we have our brackets. If we have a closer inspection of these, one's worse than the other, we can see stress fractures. I think I could get away with running a weld through there and put them back on the truck. They are available for sale, so I've opted to buy some new ones. Hey, here we have it. With our sway bar, drop link, bushes and brackets. Parts finally turned up now. You might be hearing choppers in the distance, and while we were gone waiting for parts, a big wildfire came over the hill and gave us a tickle. One thing that was pretty impressive to watch was the coordination and the response from the firefighters. That was poetry in motion. So even though we did get a bit of a nudge from the fire, we didn't have to do much at all because they were on it. So that was incredible to see. That's what we're dealing with anyway. It's like an adventure without even going past the letterbox. It's right on your front doorstep. Trees falling down, fires burning. Anyway, let's get on with this sway bar. So we have our bushes, a little crack in them like such, and that is going to wrap around our sway bar facing forward. And then our bracket with the bolt facing towards the front of the truck is going to slot in under there, and that is quite a tight fit. As for the bracket itself, there is a slot under the chassis there that it goes into, and then once it's in, then we can clamp it home and try to fit the bolt. Oh. It doesn't look too bad. All right, let's get them out of the way. Oh, yeah. What we're trying to achieve here really shouldn't be that hard. The first problem we're running into are the brackets. Of the two new ones we bought, the one we did not test is jamming up in its slot and unable to rotate home. It appears along this edge is a little bit too much material, so we rectified that with a little time on the grinder, and now as you can see, it slots in and it rotates home. It's wonderful. The second problem we're running into are the bushes themselves. As you can see with the brackets installed, they seem unable to do a full wrap around the bar like the originals did and the ones we installed at the back. These ones, I suspect, are either the wrong part or they're just shit. Nevertheless, it's not going to work. So we've put in an order for some different ones. We'll have to wait a week and we'll see what happens. Hey, here we are. According to my suppliers, JLR had a cyber attack, and so everybody's out of stock of sway bar bushings. So it's lucky I didn't throw the old ones out, because there they are, they're going back into service. It's been a highly disrupted little film, hasn't it, with trees falling, fires burning and cyber criminals attacking. All right, let's get this sway bar on and finish up. Fuck it. It should not have been any harder than that. These offset box spanners, I'd forgotten they existed. Come over and have a look at this. Astute viewers would have noticed there's a lot of shiny stuff going on here that was not there when we started the film. So a lot's happened in the weeks. We've been waiting for stuff that never showed up. In our follow-up videos, we're going to be doing a deep dive, extensive surgery into this area right here. Alright, now we've got the weight on the vehicle, we can't forget we have to torque down our Panhard rod to 170 foot-pounds, and as you know, we've got a 150 torque wrench and a breaker bar just to guesstimate. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun down here, no room. Oh, I don't know if this is possible. Oh my God. Oh. And then a breaker bar. All right, the other side should be a little easier. Oh, there's no leverage. Oh, and there you have it. We did the best with what we got.